There we go. Okay, goody.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's official.
It is. I hand the mic over to Glenn.
Hello and welcome to Herein Lies the Peace of God in the Awakening Together Sanctuary. The Awakening Together Sanctuary is an assembly of equals joined in common purpose, awakening to one true self. Within an appearance of many faiths, many cultures, and many symbols, we seek to discern one truth and to rest in its embrace. The host of Herein Lies the Peace of God is Reverend Jacquelyn and Eckert, the President and Minister of Awakening Together. Our co-host is your favorite anarchist preacher, Reverend Glen Ganaway, integral scholar. The Course in Miracles says this about discerning one truth. Nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God.
Sing glory, glory, hallelujah. How wonderful thy holy name. Now I can see with God's own vision, and I see peace instead of pain. Yes, I see peace instead of pain. I can see peace instead of pain. Amen.
That's your cue, Jacquelyn.
I know. I swear I feel like Pavlov's dog over here. I'm like, don't say it, don't say it. But I went, wee doggies.
No, it's a wonderful time. It's a wonderful time for us, and welcome back to the rest of us. You've been on vacation for a while.
Well, not that long. I was gone about a week.
A week?
Yeah, plus, you know.
Seems like forever. I'm like a cat. I'm like sitting at the door going, why does no one? You know, it's like a cat waiting at the door.
Well,
you know.
and the other thing we did though was the fall retreat, which was 2 weeks.
Oh yeah. So this is a double thing. So thank you for everybody who is tuning back in after we have been gone for another hiatus, after coming back for a moment and then going away again. So we want to welcome everybody back. Glad you're here. And we are still on the Manual for Teachers. You haven't missed anything. We're on chapter 6.
We're in the teacher's manual.
Yeah,
section
teacher's
7.
manual. Yes, chapter 7. Is it chapter 7?
7, I think.
Okay.
I wrote it in because it's not in my sparkly edition, but I'm pretty sure it's 7.
Chapter 7. Yes. I said 6. It's wrong. That is chapter 7. We are out.
Although let me say that to refresh my recollection, I did go back and watch some of our last episode, and I think we could just replay that tonight.
Well, I know. I was gonna. You know, I'm saying all of this because she leads us directly into this question. Last week was what?
Is healing certain? Yes.
Yeah.
Healing certain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this week?
And this week is should healing be repeated?
I don't know. Is it certain?
See, so what do you think? So she wants to talk about something different. So she's actually she's answering a sort of a different question that comes up about healing. It says, why does it need to be repeated? I mean, why would we be worried about it not being effectual?
What's really going on?
Yeah, what's really going on? I was like, this doesn't look like the healing that I know was supposed to be. You know, I've seen Star Trek. I see where they hold the wand over the wound and it just closes. That is healing. And I am not observing that right at the moment. So I've obviously done something wrong, and I obviously don't understand what the concept is. Because I'm a miracle worker. and I'm a teacher of God, and I read the manual and everything. You know, yeah, hold my wand.
Yeah.
Did you have any? I'm sure you had a ton of opportunities for contemplating healing on vacation.
I'm sure. Is my face red? I'm sure I did.
Well, it's like, it's I think vacations are supposed to be healing, right? I know. Yeah.
Yes. There are always tons of opportunities for healing. Life itself, right?
Yeah. Stick
around. is offered for the healing of the one mind. So we either avail ourselves of those opportunities or we put them off to a later time.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
And there's no judgment about that, because we're going to talk about how time is one of those major factors in all of this.
Should healing be repeated? Or my face wouldn't have been so red.
Well, we have preconceived notions about what it's all supposed to look like, doesn't it? It's like we have that programming. I know what is attractive. I know what's healthy. I know because I'm supposed to know all these. I know all these things. But do I really? Am I an example of healing? I know that I've had some chronic illnesses through my life because I was a junkie for during the 80s. I got Hep C, so I'm a recovering Hep C. I've got the cure of Hep C about 5 years ago. When the regimen came out. When the 3 or 4 regimens that came out. I've been healed of that, but that is still the way that Hep C affected my body has affected my taste buds. It's affected, a lot of how I operate in the world. It's like how I actually experience the world. So healing, actually, I think healing changes our perspective. To go from an injured place or a sick place into a healing place, it actually changes our perception, actually changes our kind of makeup and world and our cosmology. Because I had 2 surgeries before they found out I had Hep C. That's just an odd way of so. There's no way of knowing what would have happened or could have happened. Did anything happen wrong? Is anything bad? Am I missing out? Or am I losing anything because of? I couldn't. It's the way she talks about healing in A Course in Miracles is completely upside down. The way that the world talks about healing and being able to recognize it, and that's been interesting to work with it for about a couple of weeks now. So that's been awfully fun. But tell you what, I don't remember who read last time. Do you, since you read the?
I do, and I read last time, and you taught first, which seems to work well. And I'm happy to do that again if you like, or you can read and I can teach first.
Tell you what, I'll read it and you can teach first, because that's
all right. Here you go.
Switch it up like we're trying to do here. So we find ourselves in the Manual for Teachers. It's chapter 7, and it's a follow-up to chapter 6. Chapter 6, as we've mentioned, is healing certain? And chapter 7 of Manual for Teachers is, should healing be repeated? Now, remember, in chapter 6, she says, is healing certain? And what is the first thing she says? And what's the first sentence? Healing is always certain. And she continues with this by answering the question in the first time. Should healing be repeated? And I'll read. The question really answers itself. Healing cannot be repeated. If the patient's healed, what remains to heal him from? And if the healing is certain, as we have already said it is, what is there to repeat? For a teacher of God to remain concerned about the result of healing is to limit the healing. It is now the teacher of God himself whose mind needs to be healed. It is this he must facilitate. He is now the patient, and he must so regard himself. He has made a mistake and must be willing to change his mind about it. He lacked the trust that makes for giving truly, and so he has not received the benefit of his gift. Whenever a teacher of God has tried to be a channel for healing, he has succeeded. Should he be tempted to doubt this, he should not repeat his previous effort. That was already maximal because the Holy Spirit so accepted it and so used it. Now, the teacher of God has only one course to follow. He must use his reason to tell him that he has given the problem to the one who cannot fail, and must recognize that his own uncertainty is not love but fear, and therefore hate. His position has thus become untenable, for he is offering hate to one he offered love. This is impossible. Having offered love, only love can be received. It is in this that the teacher of God must trust. This is what it really is meant by the statement that the one responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for himself. The teacher of God is a miracle worker because he gives the gifts he has received. Yet he must first accept them. He need do no more, nor is there more that he could do. By accepting healing, he can give it. If he doubts this, let him remember who gave him the gift and who received it. This is thus his doubt corrected. Thus is his doubt corrected. He thought the gifts of God could be withdrawn. That was a mistake, but hardly one to stay with. And so the teacher of God can only recognize it for what it is and let it be corrected for him. One of the most difficult temptations to recognize is that to doubt healing because of the appearance of continuing symptoms is a mistake in the form of lack of trust. As such, it is an attack. Usually it seems to be just the opposite. It does appear unreasonable at first to be told that continual concern is attack. It has all the appearances of love, yet love without trust is impossible, and doubt and trust cannot coexist. And hate must be the opposite of love, regardless of the form it takes. Doubt not the gift, and it is impossible to doubt its result. Now is the certainty that gives God's teachers the power to be miracle workers, for they have put their trust in him. The real basis for doubt about the outcome of any problem that has been given to God's teachers for resolution is always self-doubt. And that necessarily implies that trust has been placed in an illusory self, and only such a self can be doubted. This illusion can take many forms. Perhaps there's a fear of weakness and vulnerability. Perhaps there's a fear of failure and shame associated with the sense of inadequacy. Perhaps there's a guilty embarrassment stemming from false humility. The form of the mistakes is not important. What is important is only the recognition of a mistake as a mistake. The mistake is always some form of concern with the self to the exclusion of the patient. It's a failure to recognize him as a part of the self, and thus represents a confusion in identity. Conflict about what you are has settled in your mind, and you have become deceived about yourself. And you're deceived about yourself because you've denied the source of your creation. If you're offering only healing, you cannot doubt. If you really want the problem solved, you cannot doubt. If you are certain what the problem is, you cannot doubt. Doubt is the result of conflicting wishes. Be sure of what you want, and doubt becomes and possible.
Mhm. Wow. So powerful. Thank you. Powerfully read.
Thank you. I've been reading it over about every day for about
Good for you. I read it over every day on
Uh,
vacation as well.
I'm sure you did. I sure on the boat.
That's right, on the boat, when I was on the boat. All right, here we go. So I think that you, and I imagine you'll teach from here, but I'll let you teach when you teach. But I think you really framed the question well. It's like she already told us healing was certain, so another question's being asked here.
Mhm.
And it's and I think she gets to it well in several spots, but certainly in this next to the last paragraph, she says the real basis for doubt about the outcome of any problem that has been given to God's teacher for resolution is always self-doubt, and it's of course that's self-doubt with a little less, and that necessarily implies the trust has been placed in an illusory self, for only such a self can be doubted. She says, it's okay though. Just recognize that that's your mistake. And we talk about healing in terms of changing our minds, in terms of being a shift of perception or shift in perception. And really what we're shifting to, and I just loved it I loved it because Jacquelyn, had written it down here in the margin and then read down 2 paragraphs and went, yeah, I just said that. So
Good feeling.
said, this is really what's meant by accepting the atonement for oneself. Because, I mean, that's it. The shift in perception is and we talked about this extensively, I can tell you last time, but the shift in perception is the shift to the understanding that all is well. Nothing needs to be changed. Nothing needs to be different, including me or this situation or you or your seeming situation. Nothing needs to be different. That's it.
I know.
How simple is that, right?
Yeah.
Easy peasy again. So you're either and she says, like, if you begin to doubt, there's only one course to follow. This is in the second paragraph. He, the teacher of God who is doubting, he must use his reason to tell himself that he has given the problem to one who cannot fail, and recognize that his own uncertainty is not love but fear, and therefore hate. But this idea about using the reason is like the question, are you in your right mind? Or are you in your wrong mind? This reason refers to the right mind or thinking with Holy Spirit. Are you in recognition that nothing is going wrong here? Are you in recognition that there's only one thing going on here? Or are you still misidentifying yourself as this tiny little self separate from all these other tiny little selves and terribly flawed beings? That's always only the question, only always a question or something. But let me go through this. The gift she talks about in that first paragraph is the gift of understanding wholeness. It's just really that simple. She says, let's see. Sorry, I got lost somewhere here. Let me look at the second paragraph. Actually, she says, whenever a teacher of God has tried to be a channel for healing, he has succeeded. Period. I've given myself over to that. I have answered the call. I have allowed myself to be truly helpful. And so whatever comes from stepping into the right mind, whatever comes from asking Holy Spirit for assistance is certain. Excuse me, I'm trying to turn this phone down or off or something. Whenever a teacher of God has tried to be a channel for healing, he has succeeded. So if I've given myself to the right mind, if I've been asked to do something, and I know I've talked about this before, but if I've been asked to do something, by Holy Spirit, by inner wisdom, by the universe, because I find myself in that situation. If I've been asked to do something, I have to. This whole teaching is about assuming that I have the wherewithal to do it. The tools, the skills, the time, the resources. If I've been asked to do it, then I can guarantee you that all those things are available. So if I'm worried about whether or not I'm going to be able to do it, whether or not the healing is going to be received, whether or not the teaching is going to be understood, it's only doubt. It's only level confusion. It's only a question of me thinking for a minute that I'm this little person who's trying to get this message across to another little person. We spent a lot of time last week talking about the spreading of the light in the one mind. That's all that's going on here. Holy Spirit giving to Holy Spirit, right? That is all that's going on here. So if I'm doubting that, I've forgotten that. I've slipped back down into this backslid into this little level of this other level, the ego thought system, or this other level of thinking. And in that level, I'm a poor, pitiful human being, along with the rest of this 8 billion human beings, and you know, we don't have a shot in hell of getting any of this right.
You're sick. And now you're the patient. Now I'm the patient. Oh man.
Right. That's right. Oh man. So she says again, I'll read this again. He must use his reason to tell himself that he has given the problem to one who cannot fail, and recognize that his own uncertainty is not love but fear, and therefore hate. His position has thus become untenable, for he is offering hate to one to whom he offered love. This is impossible. Having offered love, only love can be received. Now, that goes off the rails a little bit for me, because I think what she's teaching, what Jesus is teaching in this entire book, is I'm just trying to think how to phrase that in that sentence, and that is the same thing that Regina has taught us when she taught us from NTI, Holy Spirit's Interpretation in the New Testament, that we are love, and what's happening in this apparent world that we see is love giving to Spirit through Spirit that which Spirit requests. That's all that's going on, even when it pretends to be hate or attack. It's really love, because it's Holy Spirit giving unto itself. And because Holy Spirit is love, that's all that ever can really be given is love. There can be the illusion of hate. There can be the illusion of attack. But those things only happen when it's requested by the only thing that's going on here, right? So it's always Holy Spirit calling on Holy Spirit. I'm going to skip down for a minute to the paragraph at the bottom of the page. She says, one of the most difficult temptations to recognize is that to doubt a healing because of the appearance of continuing symptoms is a mistake in the form of lack of trust. As such, it is an attack. She says, usually it seems to be just the opposite. It does appear unreasonable at first to be told that continued concern is an attack. You know, oh, did you get home safe? Be sure and call me. I want to make sure you got home safe, right? That sounds like love. That doesn't sound like an attack, right? Yeah. And that's the way we're wired in this world. As she says here, it has all the appearances of love, yet love without trust is impossible. Love without trust is impossible. And doubt and trust cannot coexist. And hate must be the opposite of love, regardless of the form it takes. And I guess when I said a while ago that it goes off the rails a little bit for me, this very strong language makes it sound like hate is something that could exist.
Yeah.
And that's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's impossible for hate to exist. It's impossible for attack to exist. Because everything is love. And if it's made out of love, it can never be hate. It can never be attack. The only attack that's being made is the attack on the attack on trust, right? The
Uh-huh.
the attack on my own surety, in my own certainty in the truth of what I am. And that's only an illusion. I mean, consciousness is having a great time regardless of what I'm doing. You know?
Yeah, there's a lot of support for it too. But in the world and in the dream, there's a lot of support for your doubt. So
Oh yeah.
coming up with it's like it's my doubt, but it's like the world will say that that's good, that
Yeah. Yeah. So then she takes us into the only problem you're making is you're confused about who you are. You're jumping back into that confusion, and you don't need to do that. The paragraph that I skipped, let me just say, is just beautiful. Having offered love, only love can be received. It is in this that the teacher of God must trust. And frankly, for me, look, only love exists. That's where the trust is. Only love exists. Nothing needs to be different. I don't need to change anything. It is in this that the teacher of God must trust. This is what is really meant by the statement that the one responsibility of the miracle worker is to accept the atonement for himself, right? That's the only thing that I need to accept over and over and over as many times as it takes. And I love how you were talking last week about a woman you were watching on YouTube who always signed off saying, remember, you can always change your mind. Yes. And of course, that's what Course in Miracles tells us as well, right? Choose again. That opportunity is always available. And the choice is always in how I see myself, because how I see myself is how I'm going to see the world. So I either identify with the one self, which is love, or I don't. And if I don't, that's okay. I just need to remind myself when I remember, I go, oh yeah, and I choose again.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. There's nothing's gone wrong here. It seems as if there is massive suffering in the world that needs to be corrected.
Yeah.
But I stand firm in the knowledge that nothing has gone wrong here.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what she's saying. So I'm done.
Yeah. Watching the Ahmaud Arbery case or the Kyle Rittenhouse case and say with a straight face that nothing's going wrong is really sort of next level. And it doesn't mean that there isn't caring or empathy or understanding there. But the idea that I could observe an historical moment and know what that's about is absurd. To think that I could have been on Columbus's ship as it arrives in Puerto Rico and meeting the Taino people for the first time, knowing what was going to happen after that. There's no way of knowing what that it's about. Is this the right? But what, so what's the arc? This is healing is such a much bigger question when we talk about ourselves as one.
Yes.
Healing becomes something that we're doing or not doing. It's something that we're observing or not observing. It's already here. And what we say healing or not healing is our judgment and our evaluation of the condition of a material object moving through space.
Of a seeming material.
Yeah, what we're calling a material. Yeah,
moving through space. Yes, exactly.
Absolutely. So,
but really, and you're really good at this. The real question goes, okay, great. Now, how do I take that into the marketplace? What am I going to do with that tomorrow when I get up to go to work?
Yeah. So how does this feeling manifest itself? What does it look like in three-dimensional, parlance or whatever like that? To say, I love you, it just reminds me what I joke about this, but Jesus says he meets the guy at Bethesda, the Bethesda fountain, and the guy goes, I'm sick. You gotta help me get into the fountain. And Jesus goes, get up. Just get up. Just get up already. You know, you're healed. You're healed. You're healed. You're healed.
What's wrong?
And you know, just like I'm in line. I'm going to the temple, doing the thing. Stop. You're healed. You're healed. I know you're healed. I see you healed. There's nothing wrong with you. And he goes, no, I'm not. I'm crippled. You know, and Jesus says, okay. And he puts some, and he says, here's a physical thing that you can put the miracle on. You know, here's
my magic wand.
Here's my wand. Here's the wand you're looking for. I'm going to give you the wand they're looking for. Here's the thing. So I'm not upsetting your paradigm, but I'm upsetting your paradigm enough that you believe that I can do that. That's all. That's the belief in the oneness, the belief or the knowledge or the willing to suspend my sense of the way the world works and to trust you or a teacher, somebody the world or whatever, to say, you know better than me. I'm gonna assign you the truth and not make it up for myself. I'm not gonna create the meaning for myself because it's obviously not working. I'm laying at I'm crippled at the Bethesda fountain going, yeah, somebody help me. You know, that's where I live myself in. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to say that, and what we saw with Jesus's life was a real-time, actual demonstration of perfect faith. I mean, he didn't go to the cross going, "Oh, you MFers, this shouldn't have happened to me."
We're number one. We're number one. We're number one. That's not the procession of the cross. That's not. There's no station on the cross. We're number one. No.
I mean, and that's, well, if you watched Mel Gibson's movie, you know how horrific that was. That walk to the cross.
That was on purpose. It was to demonstrate you should never do this. As all the people, don't ever be like this. Don't ever be this person. Don't speak against what we say is the truth.
Mm. Yeah.
And his healing was to not participate in any of it. That's he's praying in the garden with his friends and everything like that. And, they come up and he goes, it's him. He's doing all this. And he goes, so you betrayed me with a kiss, Like, yeah. And he goes, oh, but be right with you. Be right with you. He could have done all of it. And he didn't, because nothing had to change. Nothing had to change. It was already healed. It was already done. Everything was already okay. But it looked pretty bloody and gross for a little while.
Yeah.
But it's getting through that, the bloody portion often in my own cosmology. It's getting through, in order to get, you just can't see it.
If they're coming for you, you're going to run. Or I am, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's like, so how do I get from... how do I keep from, it sounds poorly said, but how do I keep from, this term is so funny, that backsliding, right? Keeps coming in tonight. As good Southern Baptists, you all will
yes. Oh, yeah.
Term. But I mean, that's it. It's like, today I'm on top of the world. I feel Holy Spirit coming through me. I can share that with you. I can encounter the situations in my life like that, but if they come for my son or they come for my physical body tomorrow, or they, it's like, just help me to remember. Help me to remember.
Yeah. So
your turn.
I like, should healing be repeated? And she goes, the question answers himself, of course not. Because, if you're healed, you're healed. Should you eat more if you're full? No. And so the portion I highlighted in this is, for a teacher of God to remain concerned about the result of healing is to limit the healing. That's been the thing that I really grab a hold of. I want you to know that I care. It's not just that, I'm doing something for you, but I want to be acknowledged for, like, I care, and to get social points or societal points or whatever to say the right thing, or, to do those things. So what is my motivation for healing? What is my motivation for offering this. So this is the first paragraph is kind of like, is what I think about the healing versus preconceived outcomes. Healing is changing our minds, right? You've said this, and it's an error of the mind. That should be a comfort to us, but often it isn't. And unhealed, she defines as a limited mind. Unhealed is a limited mind. And remember that her also definition of sin is placing limits on the child of God. It's like, oh, so I am sick because I have limited myself. I am looking at somebody who has limited themselves. I recognize the limit I have on that I place on myself, and I go, oh, I do that too. I don't have to do that, and we're healed. And you don't even have to take any action on it. I can just like, oh, I know that you're not, bad or broken or wrong or anything like that. I know, and I'm not going to treat you that. I'm not going to have the image of you in my head or the person or what she's calling the patient. I'm not going to have the patient in my head as something that's broken, something that needs to be fixed, much less that I'm the one who's in charge of fixing it. I get really caught up in that because I'm a good person. And I care about people, but so I want to be effective. I think there's part of this is a lot about family relationships, about should healing be repeated? Like you said, did you get home safe? You didn't call. I didn't hit the text. You didn't follow up. It's like, so a lot of this is real family dynamic stuff. So healing is changing our minds to error of mind. So the patient. So sin is the limitations. Lacking trust. This lack of trust allows me not to be able to give fully, which means my presence is limited. Lack of trust means that I'm not fully on board with my presence. I'm not fully on board with who I am and what is happening here. And so there's no benefit. If I'm not online, then I can't do it. If I lack trust, I have received no benefit, and there's no experience there of this, what we're calling healing. The result, she says, is holding back, withholding the gift, withholding the presence. And this to me really is what hate is about, withholding ourselves, withholding our presence from others. So it just means I don't trust the process. I don't trust the readings I do. I don't trust the teachers I have. I don't trust the voice that likes me. That's what should be examined when I think healing needs to be repeated, or somebody needs to be fixed and I need to do it, is the trust and repeated or monitored, is that I don't really have the trust in the way things work that I think I do. So I don't receive the results of sharing this gift. In the next paragraph, I highlighted the first chapter, just like the first sentence, just like you did. Whenever the teacher of God has tried to be a channel for healing, he has succeeded. Done. In scene. Stop pouring it on. Stop checking back. A watched pot never boils, or whatever they say. That kind of thing. But dating does this. This is like a dating rule as well. You don't call too early, right? You don't keep checking up on. You have a good date. You don't want to call. You don't want to keep checking. Do we have a good date? Did we have a good date? Isn't it really interesting to be on a date with somebody and every 5 minutes they're saying, "Are you having a good time? Are you having a good time?" What a big turnoff! What a big turnoff is that? We understand these concepts, but we don't understand why they make us feel uncomfortable. It's like, you don't trust what I'm saying. You don't trust my feelings. You can't read what I'm saying. You aren't even in my presence. You aren't even reading me, you weren't even here now anymore. It's interesting. So I wrote, we have a temptation to repeat the effort and to double down on our outcomes. It's always the result. We're always looking for the result that we expected, not the result that happens. It's none of my business. And I'm offering you my presence, and my healing presence. You do with it whatever you want. Instead of saying, "Aren't I healing presence? Do you feel better when you're around me?" That would be absurd. That would be absolutely next level absurd.
That's great, though.
But that's what we do. That's what we do. Tell me I'm a good person. Show me I'm a good person is, and all of this. So this repeating the effort, this doubting the outcome, second guessing ourselves. Was I enough? Was it enough? Am I enough? Did I do enough? Is this, you're so broken. I can't even fix you. That's agreeing that that's hate, right? She says it's like, if I can't fix you, I'm afraid of you because I can't control you. And if you aren't take my healing, it means that, we're something. So you're resisting my healing. You're resisting, you ever meet anybody that's been healed of their addictions 4 or 5 times? So she gives us an action step here. She goes, let go already. Isn't that always good for the gift? You give a gift, and what do? You let go. It's not a gift if you're still holding the gift. Let go and give the outcome to the Holy Spirit. Which means all the outcomes, which means all the history. It means what somebody else is going to say about it. It's how somebody else is going to see it. It's giving up the outcomes. Do what is ours to do. Be the presence that we're supposed to, that we're asked to do. Like, you said, this is mine to do. I have to do it. But I'm gonna schedule a follow-up. When would you like that follow-up? I'm gonna schedule a follow-up with my healing. And so, or like I was nice to you, you need to be nice to me. I healed you, you have to heal, you have to heal me. This recognition of our uncertainty as fear and not the truth is a very good way of doing it. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that's that exchange that ego's always looking for, that bargain, that reciprocity. It's like, I heal you and you don't have to pay me, but you just have to adore me and, demonstrate that it was well worth my effort.
And tell the story about how I healed you.
Yes.
Very important. Very, very important. So this recognition of our uncertainty as fear, which is kind of a new concept to me, being uncertain about the outcome, being certain, but did I do it right? Did I do it? That's fear. And I hadn't really put that together. So she asked us to offer love, like offer only love, which is acceptance and inclusion and connection. And it's like, oh, that is healing, isn't it? Can't you be really feeling completely awful and someone is just with you? Like, isn't that what we're supposed to do? You like Shiva, you sit Shiva with somebody, not because you're going to bring the dead back to life, but you're going to say, I know this is hard. I'm not going to do, because there's nothing to do about it. There's dead people you cared about. There's nothing to do. I'm just going to sit here and say, yeah.
That's sweet.
And tell you, I'm just going to let you know that I love you. That's it. So you deserve a thank you card for sitting Shiva?
I don't think that's done.
Probably not. No, it's not. So in the next part, a miracle worker, the teacher of God is a miracle worker because he gives gifts he has received. That's delicious, absolutely delicious. Am I giving away what I've been given? Am I really interested in healing other people or healing the world or healing myself? The only way I know that I'm interested in the healing is if I'm giving it away as fast as I'm getting it. It's the flow. If I'm just the flow of feeling, if I'm not storing it up, okay, I've got enough healing and I can share a little with you, dole it out a little bit at a time or whatever like that, or put a money gate on it. That's also popular. Yet he must first accept the gifts he has been received. He need not do more, nor there is more than he could do. Brings everything back to the miracle worker. Who are we going to be? Who are we going to walk around as? She's asking us to walk around as the healed, to quickly recognize it when we've moved into patient mode, which is when we've confused, cause and effect, right? We've confused cause and effect, to recognize quickly when we get patient mode, but accept the atonement. For who? Ourselves. Let me accept the atonement for y'all. You know what you should do? You should accept the atonement. It's complete. The same words are not healing when you understand it like that. The same exact words. So it's not the words. It's the understanding. It's the lived experience in the presence of somebody who knows you're not broken, knows you're not broken and wrong and yes, you can suffer. If your arm is broken and everything like that, or you're grieving or whatever like that, just say to somebody whose arm is broken, you're not sick, is mean. So to be there, to offer the presence of love, not to conflict, not to go at the person receiving it, or the effects aren't, as magical as I may want them to be, I have never spit into mud, wiped it on anybody's eyes, and they were healed. I have never, ever done that. But, I have given somebody good directions, that turned out to be helpful, The miracle worker gives away what they've received. By accepting it, they can give it away because there's nothing else to do. There's no additional action that's required. That's sort of the concept of the nut of A Course in Miracles. Accept the atonement for yourself, and everything will flow from there. If you can realize who we really are as one with the world. And she says the gift of God cannot be lost. Of course it can't. Of course it can't be lost. That's why we would monitor it through space if we thought that it could be lost. This fragile healing that I've given you, this fragile love, this fragile trust or whatever that I've given you, they have to make sure that, I follow you with duct tape so it stays, stays with you, That's, we don't want to do that to the people that we love. That's not love, is it?
No.
I know, it's very funny. So continued concern is attack. She said, let love without trust be impossible, and doubt without trust be non-existent. This describes, I think this is a really good way of understanding family dynamics, Trust, love without trust, or healing without trust is impossible. I trust Yolanda, who I trust, absolutely trust. I don't need to, it's funny. We were on a retreat. We were coming back with a bunch of people on a van. We all pulled over to have dinner and stuff like that. And I was talking to somebody, and I said, Yolanda asked me she goes, you have a picture of something. I want to show this person a picture. And so I handed her my phone. My phone, and someone says, you just handed Yolanda your phone. She can look at everything that's on your phone. Remember that? And it's like, do you really just told me what's on your phone? You realize you just told me what's on your phone, and how you operate in a relationship, and all of this, and the trust and all of that. So,
well, actually, when you say that, it reminds me of, with family, for me, with family, you're going to get through whatever crisis is going on right now. This misunderstanding,
I hope.
Or for me, that's really what family is. It's the people who have to take you back in when you show up on their doorstep. I've heard something like that, but it's true. They do. I mean, you trust that that bond of love is strong enough to weather whatever storms arise. And certainly we could extend that to the human family and all be a whole heck of a lot happier.
A family all are we. Let me walk with my brother in perfect harmony. Remember, let there be peace on earth. Let it begin with me. Yeah, well, continuing. So she says in this paragraph that continuing symptoms are proof of nothing. So again, this idea of monitoring what we do and our effect in the world is counterproductive. And she says, when we're monitoring symptoms, what we're doing is we have a belief in time and that we're attacking our healing and trust. And we are continually monitoring for results for desired outcomes. And that isn't healing. Love without trust is possible. Doubt and trust cannot coexist. And it's good for working environments too. It's like, I want to develop a trustful presence. You know, I want to have words that match what my body is saying. I want to have, this notion of integrity as well, my own integrity that I believe is offering healing to others, because I have been inspired and healed by others that do not know me, like TED Talks and readings and books and all kinds of things. People, James Baldwin, Giovanni's Room changed my life. Reading William S. Burroughs as it changed with the healing. It was like, because I realized that I wasn't like we say on Wednesdays in my class, goes, I'm not alone and friendless. The healing of knowing and connecting and recognizing my presence in others really had to be kind of specific when it first started. I need to find specific examples of people that I could recognize as I could recognize. And that, so those people have been really important. Those were miracle workers for me. Doubt and trust are impossible together. And she says the miracle worker has certainty of power. Again, that idea of healing as power and powerful and the connection to it. And healing is the result of our knowledge of how powerful we are. It's accessing and sharing the power that is moving through us. So this miracle workers, this is the certainty of power. It's a trust in the process, and it's a trust in our own inner awareness. I've really begun to trust this process. This process has results. It has results in greater peace for me. Now, I cannot tell you what that looks, that would look different for me than it looks for you. Like greater peace for you means, a cabin in Colorado. Greater peace for me is a homestead in Vermont. And, greater peace for me is moving out of a job that I want, I want a beer at 5 o'clock. I want 10 beers at 5 o'clock. This job I used to have, it was so stressful. I was like, it was nothing. I could just wanted relief from this just unrelenting stress of this job. And now I don't, I healed from the need to be in those situations. I don't find value in it. The healing came from not wanting to tear myself up for somebody else. Now, it was good work. It was a not-for-profit. It was dealing with people with addictions, very homeless people with addictions. This is something I'm actually pretty good at. But the structure of the business and stuff like that was so stressful for me. Really, really, really stressful for me. So this sharing is important. This understanding of sharing is something that I really love. And it's sharing with certainty. And it says, I have the power. We have the power. We're doing this. So I like, she says in the very chapters, okay, she says 6, goal gifts. Oh no, is healing certain? Yeah, okay, so needs receives. Okay. The teacher, I so in relinquishing, wow, the goal, I skipped all around for this. This is oh, good. I went way back up and I lost my whole place. And in my notes, don't you love that? So the miracle worker, it has this superpower is kind of like the certainty of power. It's a trust in the process. It's a trust in our own inner awareness. And it's the sharing of certainty. It's the sharing of the power that moves through this. Well, it is, so I wrote down here in my notes, is it not the function, it is not the function of God's teachers to evaluate the outcome of their gifts. It is merely their function to give them, to evaluate the gifts. The real basis of the doubt of the outcome of any problem that it's been given to God's teacher for resolution is always self-doubt. And she ends it this way: an indication of misplaced trust, fear and weakness and vulnerability, failure and shame and inadequacy and false humility. These are all very intimate ways that we understand this is what is happening. So I ask myself, what is this relationship for? This is what helps me, this evaluating healing. What is this relationship for? Do I want the problem solved at the source? Because real often people just want the symptoms solved. They don't want to solve for the cause. They just want the symptoms solved. I'm no different than symptoms. So do I want the problem solved at the source? And do we even know what the problem is? I've tried, I've been on that end as well. What do I want? Who am I? And what is my function? In the last paragraph, I just want to read the little bit of the last bit of the paragraph. She said, I rewrote it in the present tense, the last couple of sentences here as a affirmation. So it goes like this: if I offer only, or when I offer only healing, I cannot doubt. When I really want the problem solved, I cannot doubt. When I am certain what the problem is, I cannot doubt. Doubt is the result of conflicting wishes. When I am sure of what I want, doubt becomes impossible. When I am sure of what I want, and wanting illusion is sickness. That's very good definition of sickness.
Thank you for rewriting that for us.
I just always I turned to Yolanda. I said, "Look at this. This is." She just gives this affirmation. I'm not doubt. If I doubt, this turn this personally. I could wear, put that on a poster somewhere, and it would be really good. So I liked reading about that. So, but I want to, one last thing is, in the introduction to A Course in Miracles, which I read in my class on Wednesday nights, it says, the Course does aim at removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence, which is your natural inheritance. The opposite of love is fear, but what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. So she starts out the book in that contrast of love and fear. Or trust and the atonement. And do I trust the process? I'm in this process. Do I trust this process? Can I do what is mine to do and walk away? It's been a real lesson for me.
That's beautiful. Can I do what is mine to do and walk away? Done. Beautiful. Thank you for framing it for us in that way. And it looks like we are out of time. Thank you for the beautiful teaching tonight. It was gorgeous. It
Oh,
really
thank you. Thank you. So let's do this.
You've been listening to Herein Lies the Peace of God with Reverend Jacquelyn Eckert and Reverend Glen Ganaway. To find out more about Jacquelyn and to donate to Awakening Together Sanctuary, go to www.awakening-together.org. To find out more about Glen and to donate to the Mighty Companions Ministries, go to www.glenganaway.com. That's GLENGANAWAY.com.
I can see peace instead of pain. Amen.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks,
Have a
everybody.
great
and thank
evening.
you, Shauna. Thanks, Shauna, for adminning. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Shauna.
Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful teaching. Thank you. I will bring my brain next time, I promise. So,
Oh, no, that's not helpful. Leave that at home.
that's true. Thank you all for being here tonight, and we'll see you soon.